Gotta fix the hair. Well, I still have some. Destined to be an old man. Let's shed some light on the situation. Scrunched. The way we like it. Recently, I took a little hiatus from the celluloid device and Instagram and from all social media apps really. It was about an 8-week period or 2 months if you're bad at mathematics. During this time, my old cell phone also decided to brick itself. When a phone bricks itself, it dies basically, and all you're left with is an electronic brick. If you want to know how it died, it actually got sweat, my sweat, in the phone. It's very hot here in Brazil, okay? My blue blood was built for the chilly hills of Scotland. What prompted this whole event was this little voice inside of me, conscious, your soul, your higher self, whatever you'd like to call it. We all have it. You can ask anybody, they'll tell you. There's a little voice inside them that tells them when they're doing something they shouldn't be doing. It's quite interesting, not due to somebody else's standard, but due to our own standard. Almost as if we are keenly aware of our own latent potential, and that inner guide is calling us out when we don't act right. I'm sure you're familiar with the famous philosopher
苏格拉底，苏格拉底，苏格拉底。
He was definitely my favorite. I'll never forget his one quote. I forgot. But what made Socrates interesting was people asked him, like, Socrates, how do you do it, man? And he said he has this inner voice, this daemon. And never tells him what to do, only tells him what not to do. And he just decided to always listen to it. And when the Athenians were going to put Socrates to death for corrupting the youth, they gave him 6 months before the trial. Basically what that means is, hey dude, we don't really want to kill you. They're giving him time to leave, he's an old man. They didn't really want to kill an old man. They're just like, come on, away with you. And whilst his friends were preparing his exit strategy, that inner guide said, don't go. And he was like, what? I'm gonna die. Don't go. And so he didn't. All his friends were shocked. And so he stayed, and he took the cup of hemlock, which is the poison they used to kill him. And then we have the famous painting of him pointing defiantly towards the heavens whilst holding his rainbow unicorn mug of hemlock. And thus forever cementing his position in the place of history. That same voice exists in all of us. We only need but heed its warning. The trouble is, the voice is often very quiet. We fill our lives with so much noise that you can't hear it. The more you ignore it, the quieter it gets. The quieter it becomes, the more you've corrupted your own character. What that means is you can no longer trust yourself. The way we experience this world is through us. It's through you. And if you can't trust you, so what am I talking about? I started to listen to that inner voice, that inner guide, and it started to caution me to my overconsumption of digital stuff. Cell phone, social media, just randomly checking your phone for no reason. If I don't use my phone, then that means I have to listen to my thoughts. Ugh, no one really wants that. It's very noisy up there. So what's the point? See that new location? Didn't even notice. Because it's easier than doing the work. I'm getting to the point. The point is digital hygiene. What does that mean? It means, are you aware of how much time you're spending with technology? Where is your attention going? Are you consciously choosing to go into that application, or are you doing it out of habit or addiction? Why does it matter? What's wrong with a little bit of social media? Do you struggle with anxiety, depression, loneliness, tension, problems concentrating, distractibility, difficulty feeling or expressing your emotions? Studies have shown, scientists say, spending time on social media causes you depression. I don't think any of us are immune to the pushes and pulls of the phone. If you're like me, you love that protective blanket of the blue light emitted by our time gobbling little rectangles. Phone has become our surrogate parent, substituting experience for comfort. A lot of it has to do with dopamine. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter in the brain. Dopamine is the primary motivating chemical. It can promote ambition, drive, and action by influencing the areas of the brain responsible for conscious movement. It's why you do what you do. It's the reason we do most of the things we do, is for that little tingle of dopamine. The problem with dopamine is it's not so much receiving the reward as in the anticipation of receiving the reward. Everything on your phone is engineered to hijack the system. They understood the inner workings of the brain. It's designed to make you addicted. Every little bouncing icon, every color, every sound, every time you scroll, it's the slot machine effect. Am I gonna win? Am I gonna see that funny story, that cute girl or that cute boy? It's the anticipation of the reward, and it's addicting. So you're walking around with a crack in your pocket and your little hit every time. So what's the big deal? Everything you do every day is influencing your mind. Every thought, every action, every word, every experience, every food, every comment, every song, every little bit of information gets processed, and we are programming our brains and nervous systems. Your brain has neuroplasticity. That means it can change its shape based on what it's thinking and what it's doing. We are actively changing the structure of our brain based on where we spend our time and where we spend our attention. In this current age, your attention is your currency. Your time is valuable, and time is love. Time is not money, time is love. Where you spend your time is where you spend your love. Every platform makes money by you spending time on it, and that's okay. That's what the world is at the moment. But are you consciously choosing to spend time in it, or are you being manipulated? One of the biggest problems we have today in terms of mental health is depression. In my opinion, digital hygiene and mental hygiene go together because of how influential technology has become in our lives. Go to any restaurant, any airport, any social place. That's the posture. Humans in the future are going to have crazy necks and crazy thumbs. They're either going to be really strong or really messed up. From struggling with a lot of these things myself and going through all of these motions myself, with a second wave of lockdown coming to a lot of places, people are going to be spending a lot of time indoors, everyone's going to be affected. So perhaps this is a really good time for us to reevaluate where we're spending our time, where we're spending our currency, our attention. Are you consciously choosing to spend hours scrolling through social media, or are you being manipulated? So what's the game plan, Dave?
And here's a little window, and that's where we put the chimney. Okay, any questions?
Here's a few things that I do to help regulate my time on the phone. Number one, check yourself. Check how much time you're spending on the phone. All phones now have an option of checking how much time you spend on your phone, and I think a lot of us would be shocked to see how much time we actually spend on the phone. The most common excuse I ever hear is I don't have time. Well, when you check where you're spending your time, you might just realize that it's not that you don't have time, it's time management. Second thing I do is I disable the sound. Cell phone sounds are very jarring. They're designed to pull your attention. I always have my phone on silent. It never rings, it never makes a noise. After having that for maybe 2 years now. It's so abhorrent to hear a cell phone. When I'm sitting with someone and their cell phone's going off, it feels very irritating for my nervous system. I don't enjoy it. I even read one article once, scientists say that some company figured out the frequencies of a crying baby and they mimicked cell phone frequencies so that a mother's nervous system is programmed to respond so intensely and specifically to that noise of a crying baby, and they mimic it with a cell phone, and so it's like a trigger. But we are so conditioned for this to be okay that we don't even notice it anymore. Number 3, disable notifications. If you send me a message, I don't know until I look at that application. What this does is I choose to look at my phone. My phone doesn't call me. My phone is a tool and I use it. It doesn't use me. And the most important rule for me, hands down, and when I look at a lot of successful people, this is a rule that they all implement. The first and last hour of every day, no cell phone, no screens. So I hope that helps. I just wanted to share a bit of my story and my struggle. The reason I told you about my phone breaking in the beginning is because the little voice inside was guiding me and saying, like, you're not spending your time correctly, you're wasting time, time is very valuable right now. But I didn't want to listen because the phone is comfortable, the phone is familiar. So my phone broke. I think the universe is always talking to us in signs and in different ways. We just create so much noise in our day-to-day that we don't hear it or we don't see it. We filled our day with distractions. Never before have we been so busy doing nothing. Anyway, I wanted to make a bit of a longer video and play around with some video editing. Hope you enjoy it. Check out the links in the description. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.